during this session is not intended to be trade recommendations. It is solely the opinion and views of the speaker. So please remember to do your own analysis prior to entering any trades. I'm Kenneth here. I've known Jean for about 4 years, first as a student and now a business partner. So Jean has helped me in many things in my life, especially my trading. So one lesson I would like to share with all of you is that when I first started trading, I'm very embarrassed to share my losing trades. So Jean taught me that nobody wins all the time and nothing to be embarrassed about. So trading is about probability and can make money as long as we manage it correctly. So Jean runs LCMS Traders and Forex Briefcase as trading coach and millionaire traders and million dollar traders. What this means is that he trades and also has been invited to speak in many stages globally. In fact, one of the reasons why you might be here is because you might have seen him presenting on events or attended one of his courses previously. So while we are just about to get started, let me launch a poll and tell me, where did you heard from us and join this from? So I can see that the first time attending is about 3%. Welcome 3% that first time attending. And wow. Okay, I've just launched the poll that where do you know about us from this webinar. So please have us feel, at least we'll know where you are coming in from.
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello,
Hi.
hello. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Cool. Okay, so we've got quite a few regulars, couple of newbies. Give it a couple more minutes before we get started. How do you like my colorful background? Looks good? Awesome. What's happening in chats? It's Monday to Friday casual, Ivy. Monday to Friday casual. Only Saturdays and Sundays I'm formal. Trying to be a bit different. I wish I was there, Parisian. When can we fly again? So as we have people streaming in, Kenneth has launched the poll. Tell us where you've got to know us, got to join this webinar from, whether it's Facebook Live, Telegram channels, the Traders Club members, or whether a friend has shared it. Oh, I just remembered I forgot to put this on Facebook Live. Let me try. Let me see whether I can put this up straight away. Give me a moment as I figure out the intricacies of Zoom and Facebook. All right. What's my title? Wait up a title. Okay.
I see most of the people coming from the Telegram channel. How's the signal? Wow, Kim Hong, I like your background.
Okay, I guess we are live on Facebook as well. If somebody can jump onto Facebook and let me know whether it's working, I would really appreciate that. Alrighty. With that, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Hey everyone. We'll get started now. So it's back again, a new week. It's Monday, 11:07 a.m. on the 20th of April. We are two and a something week into this whole circuit breaker right now. Everyone is home. We're doing this webinar series where we go through a daily um, update on the different currency pairs every different day. So today is Monday. We will be talking about the Aussie and the Kiwi. As usual, if you have any questions, put it into the chat, or unmute yourself if you really have to, and then ask that question through there. Let's get started. So Aussie US today, we will start. Let me just get you into the screen share. Give me a quick thumbs up if you can see my charts. Awesome. Thanks for that, Kenneth. So Aussie US again, what I do now is I'll start looking at it on the daily chart, to look at it on a daily chart to give you a longer term view of how the market is, I feel, is likely to head towards. This is also for a lot of the investors out there. Then after that, I'll get into the smaller time frame, the H4 and possibly the H1 as well, to look into what you can trade in the shorter term into the different time frames of the market. All right. So looking at it at the longer time frame now on the daily chart, I see that the Aussie has actually hit the 0.6475 level over the past couple of days and turned back down. At this point, it looks like for the past 4 days, it's really been sitting at the 6.3 level. It looks like it's trying to come lower. So I probably would adjust this line a little bit lower there. So I think that with this move, the likelihood of it is that we could see a lower Aussie dollar into this week or into even further on as well. So my immediate expectation is in the longer term, this is likely to happen. It's likely to move downwards at this point, a counter trend trade. If I move that line there, I have indicators that tells me that it's likely to come downwards. I have that flattening out. I see stochastics moving lower as well. So I have different tools here that is showing me a possible reversal of the Aussie dollar downwards. Would this be a reasonable longer term trade? If those of you who are not even looking at charts that much, on a daily time frame, I'll be looking at about 160 something risk towards a 150 or 160 something profit, to a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. I believe that is quite a reasonable counter trend trade to take, especially because it's 1-to-1. So something that you can look towards, I would be quite interested in if you really want a trade that you don't want to pay attention to. All right, we're looking into what could cause this move lower later. If I look into the H4 time frame right now, again we've been sitting at that level. So this is a longer time frame. In the H4 time frame, we do believe, looking at this, is even more likely that it could come lower. Let me zoom in one more for you, just make it a bit easier to see. So at this point, if you really want to be trading, a possibility could be that if you, let me just change this color, just to make it a bit easier to see. All right, orange looks good. All right, so one possibility is if we sold at this orange line, hey, if right now, again, kind of had the disclaimer just then, remember that you want to do your own analysis as well while I'm giving you my trade ideas. This is really just my views. But if I sold at this point, my stop loss could even be as low or as high as at that point. So really a 60 pip stop loss with a potential 170 pip take profit, right? So keeping my stop loss quite tight, I think that if that's your intention on H4, that could be a trade you're looking for. And then with your take profit, even at this point, we're looking at a 50 pip stop loss with a 140 pip take profit. I see the chat pinging away. Okay, so Daniel's doing a summary. So Daniel will keep you updated with the summaries as well. So, lost my train of thought. So while we have that could be a possible move. If it makes sense to you, give me a thumbs up. Okay, got one thumbs up. I can't see all the other people, so let's assume that everyone gave me a thumbs up, right? So at this level, Aussie overall downward trend on H4, I could see a break of this level moving lower with quite a tight stop loss with quite a good risk reward ratio. Let me take these lines away before it gets a bit too complicated. All right, if I look at it on the H1 time frame, right now I feel that it might be a little bit early. So if you really want to do a very short term, so when I look at daily, so just give you an update, an overview of how I look at the charts. On a daily chart, I look at it as something that will hold for a very long term. What I mean by a very long term, it could be weeks, it could be up to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that kind of things. If I look at it on the H4, it could be a week or maybe 2 weeks. If I look at it on the H1, it could even be, it's more like an intraday, 1 or 2 or 3 days kind of time span. So if I'm looking at this on a daily, on the H1, I probably wouldn't be too keen right now to get into a trade because over the next couple of days, we don't expect too much to happen. Why I say that, let me just share with you my news here. Forex Factory, can you see my Forex Factory? Yes. Okay, so I use Forex Factory for my news updates, really just to give me an update of what's happening. Forex Factory is free, so it's a great resource to use. At this point, today, we don't actually see much news possible that could drive the Aussie dollar lower. Tomorrow, there is at 1 p.m. the Reserve Bank of Australia governor is speaking about economic and financial updates. So that could actually be one of the triggers that moves Aussie possibly lower, especially if he comes out to say anything a little bit more dovish about the economy. For example, saying that we could see further impact on the Aussie dollar because of the virus, or we could see further job losses, or we could see even trading partners suffering, which could in turn lead to a suffering of the economic environment in Australia, or just plain GDP, talking about the GDP environment in Australia being a bit lower than previous. So that could, tomorrow at 1 p.m. could be a trigger to cause Aussie dollar to move lower. Could it move Aussie dollar higher? Possibly, but I'm not betting too much on that. On Thursday, we don't have much news on the Aussie, and Friday, not much news. So looking at it, not much triggers apart from what could happen on Tuesday at 1 p.m. But you can see that Aussie is not going to just be affected by what happens in Australia. It's also going to be affected by what happens in the US as well. So with that, again, not much happening in the US in terms of economic release, news and economic release. We have a bit of a crude oil there, which we'll talk about further down a couple of days. We have some home sales, some manufacturing PMI. That's possibly on Thursday going to be quite maybe a bad news because of manufacturing PMI in the US. Not much news again. So, the US there's not much news being released at this point, but we could see a possible reaction in terms of what happens to the Aussie. economic environment, and then in the US economic environment in terms of the manufacturing PMI, and also the what happens with the virus situation in the US. Right now, in terms of what I read about the virus is we've seen a lot of countries claiming that they have reached a peak in terms of peak number of deaths or peak number of infections being reported. So we could see slight possibilities of a optimism coming into the markets. Whether this is going to be played out in the longer term, I'm not sure. But whenever we see a bit of optimism, we could see a bit of strength into that currency as well. So that was one of the things that could move the US dollar a little bit stronger again, and we could see the US dollar being again stronger in relative to everyone else. All right, so going back to the charts, that's the reason why I think that on the H4 especially, we could see quite a reasonable trade moving downwards. In the longer term, Aussie moving lower. Okay, at this point, I see the chat flashing away. Let me see. Do you have any questions? Daniel's put a summary in. Ivy said, should we wait for 3 downward candles to form the downward trend first? Because I see E1, H4, and H1, or only one down star. So Ivy, yes, you could wait for 3 downward candles, but at this point, I feel that 3 downward candles might be a little bit too late, especially if we see a quite a strong downward move. You might end up getting in a little bit too late. Daniel gave you the answer there as well, looking at the MACD. So we use the indicators as a tool to interpret the price movements, but at this point, it's a risk because it's a counter trend trade. It's a very significant counter trend trade. So I would get into this trade again. I mentioned this a couple of times last week. If it is a trade that you are comfortable with in terms of having that profit to risk, and also the confidence to take on that trade. So if this is your first trade, I know I got a few first-time traders here. If this is your first trade you would ever enter, possibly not. I wouldn't enter this trade. But if you've been trading for a while, this is a trade that you have some profits that you're ready to risk. This is a trade that you could be looking at. Okay, got that answer. Thanks. Daniel's replied. So Million said, but the Fed will be slashing cash injections by 50%, so DXY will weaken. Wait, hang on. So yes, they could be slashing cash injections, but so Million asked about cash injections being cut by 50%. They could slash that, but as cash injections get cut, that also means that on the other hand, it also means that we could see supply of money being cut. And if the supply of money is cut, demand might still stay the same, which could actually also mean that the US dollar gets stronger. So we would actually I would advise to wait for that news to come out before seeing what actually happens, instead of trying to predict the potential impact of cash injections being cut. I would actually wait for that to happen before jumping into a possible trade at that point. All right, so great questions we have there. Anyone else with a question coming in? Nothing so far, okay. If nothing so far, I'll jump on to New Zealand US dollar. Okay, New Zealand US dollar, again, a great, a great possible trade. Again, I'm really excited. I've been excited about New Zealand US dollar for the whole week already. It hasn't really played out yet. So still being excited about it. It is still, let me zoom in one, it is still sitting at the 0.605 level, where it's trying to break that resistance, couldn't, still trying to come back down. At this point, I would on the side of always telling you that, hey, it could come down again. We've said it a couple of times there, as we've seen based on these lines. I would say again, I'm looking for it to come lower. Again, at this point, stop loss at about 100 pips, take profit at about 350. On the daily time frame, this looks like a very good trade. Again, we went through what we saw on Forex Factory, not much triggers for the New Zealand dollar at this point, so I anticipate that it could sit there a little bit more before coming lower. So don't expect this move to happen quite quickly. It possibly could sit there. Looking at the smaller time frame, it could sit there for a while before coming lower. I would not be surprised if it does go back up a little bit again before coming back down. All right, so I'm putting in a few lines there. It's likely to keep testing this area before we see any further downward move. Okay, so I would at this point put Kiwi a bit on the back burner. Think about it. If it goes below the, let me see. I'll be quite keen if it goes below. I'll err a bit on this side and say that I'll be quite keen if it closes strongly below 0.5920. All right. So if it goes below that point, no, wait, 5920. Yeah. All right. So if it goes below that point, then I'll get quite interested in the New Zealand dollar. I wouldn't do too much anything further up. So to be a bit more specific, about 200 over pips stop loss with about almost 300 pip take profit. 200 pip to 300 pip, if that's a trade that you would be quite interested in, put that on your watch list. Think about it for later. Possibly not something that will happen over the next couple of days. It's possibly something that will happen maybe later in the week or even next week as well. All right. So again, I'll jump onto this. Any questions?
Robbie has one.
Robbie has one. Okay. All right. So before Robbie, I'll look at trying to do too many things at one time. I entered based on signals. Hang on. So I entered New Zealand US based on a signal. Hang on to it. Yeah, possibly. Hold on to that trade. Especially because it's a demo. So I would say try it out. Let it run and see what happens. So follow-up question is, if my trade signal is still open with a loss, how? I will hold on to it because it is still in that region. Maybe this is not the best thing to do, but based on this analysis, maybe move your stop loss to where about 6145, and then try for your take profit at 0.5700. So change that trade just to try it out and see how that runs. All right. Robbie's question: what do you mean by closing strongly? Closing strongly, I mean that I expect to see a candle close downwards. So a solid candle close downwards below that level, similar to something like that, rather than seeing a tail. Or even if it does come close to that, I wouldn't be so interested. So I want to see that candle close below that price level. Good question, Robbie. Makes sense to you? Okay. Any other questions? Questions. All right. So at this point, I also want to show you what we talked about last week in terms of the CAD. Just a quick review of CAD. On the H4, we were looking at it possibly moving up higher again. CAD has still set in the, if I move this range across, it's still set in that range. So if you're looking for any CAD trades, I think that the possible upward move is still going to be quite valid, as we see some price action with a possible indicating a possible upward movement again. right. See any more questions coming in? No more. All right. So while we have this, I also want to share with you a bit more about what else we do. Let me just click on that. Bring you here. Alrighty. So that's my Facebook page. Let's move on to LCMS Traders Club. So I want to share with you about LCMS Traders Club. This is a private group. Okay, this is a private group where a lot of you came from actually attending this webinar. So in the LCMS Traders Club, what we do here is we share a lot of information. Some of you came from the Telegram channel. Telegram channel gives you the free signals. So we send out free trade signals in the Telegram channel, telling you what to buy, what to sell at what price, in terms of your entry point and your stop loss and your take profits. But in the private group here on Facebook, we actually go into a lot more details. Let me just show you an example. Example here, for example, Daniel fires out the signals in Telegram and then he puts in his sell pound US at 1.2415, stop loss levels, take profit levels 1, 2, and 3. With that, he also gives you an analysis. So if you want to just close your eyes, follow your trades, stay on the Telegram channel. But if you actually want to learn how to trade, you want to know why we enter trades, when to get out of a trade, what to do, the analysis is here. We tell you a step-by-step process, the logic behind why we get into a trade, the triggers of what actually tells us why we get into a trade as well. So it's all there. For every trade, we have people sharing trades. Robbie has been contributing a lot into this webinar. He actually shares a lot of his trade ideas into the group as well. So you can actually see that, hey, maybe sometimes Robbie shares his trades and then that which triggers a trade from Daniel as well. So there's a lot of us sharing ideas here and there. Kad Yen as well, sharing trade ideas. We have Samuel sharing trade ideas. So a lot of times when you are trading, you're sitting at home trading and you don't know what you're doing, or you feel like you don't know what you're doing. You might actually know what you're doing, and you feel like you don't know what you're doing, and you think it would be nice if I could check with someone about my trades. Put it into this group. We have people watching it pretty much all the time. It's really a sounding board to tell you whether you're making a good trade analysis, whether it's a good trade idea, whether you should get into the trade or not. It's really just someone to give you a bit of a feedback in terms of your trades. So that's one of the great features I love about this group, is to really give you that feedback to your trade ideas, not just one way, not just us giving you trade ideas. It's also you giving trade ideas there, and then we giving you that feedback. We have, let me show you some other features of this. We have the videos are all up there as well for you straight away. Hang on, let me just find that. Okay, if you have been reading my analysis on Forex Trading Asia, that is the blog where I do a daily analysis, writing up everything to tell you about how I look at the market. The watch list is here. So while you're reading through all the blog and you might or might not know how to interpret the news, or might not know how to interpret the trade ideas that I share there, here's a watch list where I publish it up, and then one of the guys publish it up, and then it tells you what to pay attention to, at which entry level, at what take profit levels. So a watch list there for you, really to further simplify the whole trading process. I love the other part of this is to have where a lot of people share ideas, questions. Melian is here. Last night we were just firing out a whole bunch of, where is it? Okay, there you go. If you have all the questions that you want to check on, you want to know more about trading, whether you're a beginner, whether you're intermediate, whether you're advanced, put all your questions in there. This was 11 hours ago, so last night at almost midnight, and we were everyone was firing out answers, feedback. So pretty much everyone's on this almost all the time. We're on Facebook all the time, right? So we are all there giving you the answers to your questions. I'm there with a whole bunch of answers as well. So if you have any trading questions, trade ideas, trading problems, you need a feedback, you need some help, join the LCMS Traders Club. What you can do is you can jump on here on Facebook to join, or let me just click that, or head towards lcms.com.sg/Traders Club. This tells you more about what you get in the Traders Club, or the signals, where to enter, where everything I've told you about, trade signals, learning from it, looking at chart analysis, the watch list, any of your questions and answers, market changes, your weekly live calls. So actually, this is a good point. After this, we're at 11 o'clock now. After this, at 1 o'clock, there is a weekly live call with me and my whole panel of experts. What we'll be doing is I have a lot of questions that people have been firing out, asking me about how to trade, what kinds of there's some specific questions. I had one from Robbie and a couple of other people that I've tabulated already. So a lot of the specific trading questions for members of the Traders Club we'll be doing during that live call. Those will be only published 1 week after, so members get it live straight away and published to them in the video straight away. The results, the recorded version of that will be published on YouTube 1 week later. So if you're not a member, you get the views 1 week later. We got our signals there. If you want to join the LCMS Traders Club, it's $49 a month or $199 annually. So it's a no-brainer. I would join annually. It makes a lot more sense. Just click join now, and then you're in the club as well. Okay, so at this point, I still see the chat firing away. Let me just check and see what kinds of questions you have there. New Zealand. Oh, okay. Well, Ivy, just take note. New Zealand signal was to buy. Any other questions we have? Let me see. I'll give you a last call for questions if you have any. Can we bring back the content you put out in Forex Trading Asia? Okay. Sorry, Robbie, what do you mean by bring back the content? Can you elaborate a bit on that? I'll be quite happy to explain it to you. All right, so while Robbie is trying to get that to me, if not, Robbie, you can ask me that in the weekly call for the members. One last thing I want to share with you is the Traders Challenge, right? So we work quite closely with SamTrade FX. What they have done is a Traders Challenge for our students, where everybody, all clients of ours who trade together with us, gets the chance to enter this Traders Challenge. It's done every month, right? So we've been doing this for 18 months already. Every month, from the first to the end of the month, our students pit against each other. The winner not only gets their own trading profits, they also get a $2,000 cash prize, in addition to a whole bunch of other things which I don't remember because I can't join the competition. So don't worry, all the coaches are not in the competition. I'm not in the competition. So you guys trade, you guys go and win the competition. $2,000 cash prize. That's what I pay most attention to, and it's bloody attractive. One thing you can do is a couple of things you can do in this Traders Challenge as well. You definitely need a account with SamTrade under the LCMS group to be in this challenge. 2, you can use the trade signals just copy the trade signals and trade and follow and possibly win the challenge. 3 is reach out to the coaches, get into a coaching arrangement. So maybe the coaches can guide all your trades, use the LCMS Traders Club and a one-to-one coaching program with the coaches to get onto this challenge and possibly use that as an edge to win the challenge as well. So at this point now, we're on the 20th of April, 10 more days to the end of the competition. The leader right now has about $2,000 profit at about 23% return for the month. All right. So those are the kind of returns that I'm looking for my students. So all you have to do is to apply what we teach, get onto the sessions, and then I hope to see more of you in that Traders Challenge, right? We've listed the 5, but if I can list more, we'll probably do that as well. Victor, you don't have to pay for the challenge. Challenge is free to enter. All you need is a trading account, a live trading account. This is not a demo trading challenge. Demo trading challenge doesn't do anything. It's just a live trading challenge. Robbie's question about Forex Trading Asia has been answered. All right. Okay. So I'll do any other questions? If not,
Yeah, I think that's a very fantastic session, Jin. Yeah, I really like your sharing on just now on how the Aussie dollar is going to play out like this week. That there's about 1 to 1 to 1.5 raise to reward ratio, and a fundamental news tomorrow at 1 p.m. at RBA government Lonnie speak on the economic, and especially on Ivy's question as well on like a lot of traders, they always tend to like stuck in the trade and do not know what to do, and he can and through the question over there, she can really seek the clarity through this webinar and know what he's going to do forward. So as we are coming to close of this session, I'd like to launch a poll. So please let us know what is your thought of this session. Give me a second, poll. Okay, let me launch it. Yeah. And by the way, a recording of this video will be uploaded in the LCMS YouTube channel. Thank you for joining the session today. And tomorrow we'll be talking about Euro and looking forward to see you all soon. So please help us to fill this pool before you all leave this Zoom. Thanks.
So just wanted to say sorry to Kenneth. I forgot to record the starting part of your introduction. So the recording is there, but it's not. It's missing out the first 3 minutes of it.
Okay.
All right. Great. There are, I don't know how many of you. There are 32 of you in here, and only 17 of you have responded. Come on, give me your feedback on the polls.
Yeah.
It's still 17. All right. Okay, so I'll end the session here. Thank you all so much. I'll see you all at 1 p.m. again. We get into more specific trading questions and also a lot more feedback and double up from you guys as well. So take care now, trade safe, trade well, and stay home and have a great week ahead. Thank you all. Oh, people are answering now.